Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruchakadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders that came before me that brought me into this truth. This new video is going to be called Wars in Different Area Codes, Iran, Mexico, and Denmark. It's going to be starring all three of these different countries, including Greenland, of course. Okay. Now we're about to go into a few videos here. Let's go ahead. Let's start off here, man. All different kinds of things are popping off all over the world, so it's imperative to be watching and paying attention to these different events. Here we go. Oh yes, and before I start anything, fair use. There will be no monetary compensation for this video on my part. This is for educational purposes only.
If you are 18 to 25, you are cooked. You going to World War III. If you are 26 to 39, you are still cooked because the age cap's at 39. You going to World War III. If you have ADHD, you are cooked. You are going to World War III. If you have diabetes, congratulations, you ain't going to World War III. If you've ever been put in a mental facility, congratulations, you are not going to World War III. If you are in college, I'm sorry, you are cooked. They actually want you more for the draft because they want to put you in a specialized position. You are going to World War III. If you have a master's degree, you are cooked. If you dropped out of high school, you are safe from World War III. They don't want you. If you are a felon, you are not going to World War III. Now is the best time to be a felon. If you are LGBTQ, I'm sorry, you are cooked. You are still going to World War III. Now, if you're transitioning, you are safe. You are not going to World War III. If you are your only mother's son, I am sorry, you are cooked. You are going to World War III. If you are a woman, you are only half cooked because men are required to go first, but at any time, Congress can change legislation if they need more people. If you have kids, you are going to World War III. But if you're actively pregnant, you are not going to World War III. If you have major depressive disorder or severe anxiety, you got to be able to prove, it got to be documented, or you are cooked. If it's not documented, you going to World War III. Like and comment for part 2.
All right, you see that? So this brother just documented all the different areas in which you might be able to escape World War III. Nonetheless, like he said, you are cooked, because if you end up going to World War III and you fight for this beast system, you're going to be destroyed, and the Lord is going to decapitate you, man. All right, nonetheless, again, it's very imperative to understand that if you go to World War III, you're going to be dealing, ultimately, if you make it that long, you're going to be dealing with the Yahweh's army. You're not just going to be dealing with some Russians. Okay, you're not going to be dealing with those cats in Kazakhstan, whatever the hell they call it, okay? You're going to be dealing with the Heavenly Father's army. A band of angels are going to be cutting you asunder. Let's check out what Tucker Carlson mentioned about a week ago.
All the signs suggest that we're going to have a big war soon. The president announced that he is hiking the Pentagon budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. Just announced that. That's the kind of budget that a country that anticipates a global or regional war has for its military. Obviously, we're moving in that direction toward a world war. Sorry. So how do you position yourself for that? Well, you look at a map and you ask, what areas do I want to control? What trade routes? Who's got the resources? And if you were to do that, you would arrive at the most obvious conclusion of all, which is the United States has to have a relationship with Russia in order to survive anything like that.
All right. Now, I was watching the Young Turks. I can't remember the video. Pardon me. I should have timestamped it, but I'll do a better job of that in the future. Nonetheless, there was a gentleman that mentioned that $1.5 trillion defensive budget or military budget that was proposed by Donald Trump later last week. And it's very obvious that whenever you have a budget that large, that you must have a means to justify it by way of war. You can't just be having a $1.5 trillion defense budget and just not do anything with it. Nonetheless, let's go here.
Protesters are being warned in Iran where...
Pause yet again. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only. No monetary compensation is going to be had on my part for this video whatsoever. Again, educational purposes only. Let me scoot that over there. There we go. Okay.
Protesters are being warned in Iran, where mass demonstrations continue to rock the country. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is accusing protesters of trying to please Donald Trump, saying Tehran will not tolerate mercenaries for foreigners. Trump has threatened that the U.S. would not allow Tehran to kill protesters. Authorities cut off access to the internet in an attempt to curb the situation. Dozens of people have been killed, with over 2,200 detained since the demonstrations began over Iran's struggling economy.
Pause. So now we're gonna see some subtitles here. So I'm gonna speak over these subtitles, or try to just read off the subtitles in case you're just listening to this video. Pause. So last night in Tehran and some other places, a bunch of vandals showed up and destroyed buildings belonging to their own country.
متعلق به کشور خودشون رو خراب کردن. مثلا فرض کنید فلان ساختمان دیواری رو خراب کردن
just to please the U.S. president. Let him, Trump, run his own country if he can, in his own country. There are all kinds of incidents going on. Right, so there are all kinds of incidents going on in Trump's country. He's telling Trump he needs to run his own country and stop enabling his people to do wickedness in their own country. Now, how is he enabling them? Now, there was some news that I put out, that I posted earlier, that I got from X earlier, and Trump has came out of his mouth stating that there's going to be repercussions for Iran or the Ayatollah in the case they begin to destroy or delete some of their own people, some of their own fellow Iranians, right? So Trump is over here running his mouth against a foreign country and trying to tell them what they can and what they can't do. Even though you had an ICE agent just murk a so-called, an Edomite woman, a so-called white woman, just a couple of days ago, right? That's how Trump is moving.
Deeply disturbed by reports of violence during nationwide protests in Iran, including reported deaths and destruction of property over the past 13 days. The right to peaceful protest, as enshrined in international law, must be protected.
Pause. And again, Trump is running his mouth saying that you're going to have to face repercussions if you govern your own society. Trump allegedly is the president of peace and order and law and this, that, and the third, but whenever somebody else is trying to maintain order and keep the peace in his own land, he has something to say. And that's why the Lord is going to destroy him, man, and Babylon the Great.
All deaths should be promptly, independently, and transparently investigated. Those responsible for any violations must be held to account in line with international norms and standards. We are also concerned by reports of nationwide internet and communications shutdowns. Such actions undermine the freedom of expression and access to information, as well as impacting on the work of those documenting human rights violations and access to essential or emergency services.
Pause. They keep on running their mouths. That's okay. Now check this out. Of course, there was news that came out that allegedly Iran shut down internet services, and it's understandable why. Getting the news that Trump is going to retaliate against the Iranian regime in the case they try to hurt or really maim or destroy any of their citizens. That's enabling horrific behavior and trying to press the buttons of the Iranian regime, primarily the Ayatollah. They're trying to punk these people using more bullying tactics, right? Now, here are some more subtitles. I'm going to read these. Both the United States and Israel have officially stated that they have interference and a role in these riots. Now, obviously, that is correct to a degree. Officially stated, I don't know if we could say that. Okay. Now, Israel is on record. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this here. Yeah, let me see. I'll just pull. Let me do this here. we don't need everything here, but you never know. Boom. And boom, boom. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so this is from Grok. All right, so just a simple question. Has the United States or Israel stated on the record they have a hand in the violent riots happening in Iran? And obviously, it's a resounding no. Neither the U.S. nor Israel has officially stated it on the record that they have a direct hand in organizing, orchestrating, or participating in violent riots, protests currently underway in Iran. Now, what has happened? What the United States and Israel have said. The United States official statements and President Trump's repeated warnings focus on threatening intervention if Iran violently suppresses protesters. If they start deleting people, we will get involved and hit them very hard with phrases like locked and loaded and come to their rescue. These are framed as responses to potential regime violence, not admission of involvement in starting or fueling the unrest. U.S. officials have dismissed Iranian accusations of orchestration as delusional and emphasized support for the Iranian people's demands for rights and dignity. So it's essentially like having, it's basically like what the United States does with parents here. If you try to discipline your children, then we're going to lock you up and we're going to send you to jail. And then what happens? Whenever you lock up the parents, the children become orphans and they end up getting all kinds of horrific things end up happening to them, right? And whenever you destroy a regime or a government, what happens? Your people are not at rest. And you have fringe groups or factions that are formed and they start raining havoc all over that country or that state, whatever it might be. And you turn peace, law, and order into mayhem and havoc and confusion and chaos. That's what you do. And that's why the United States of America has a sharp judgment that's going to be placed upon it, or that's already on it, I should say. Israel. There are supportive statements, e.g. Netanyahu reportedly backing protesters, taking their fate into their own hands, and some references to monitoring the situation closely. However, no direct admission of involvement in the protests, riots exists in official records. Israel is watching developments but avoiding visible intervention to prevent being seen as meddling. And obviously, they're never going to, come out of their mouth and say that we're going to intervene and start throwing sleeper cells into Iran to exacerbate this chaos that's happening right now. Obviously, they're not going to say that on record. Okay, so nobody expects them to say that. Nonetheless, I digress, I should say. Again, both the United States and Israel have officially stated that they have interference and a role in these riots. That's not correct. And they are trying to turn these demonstrations and protests, which are peaceful, into violence and riots. Now pause. Now, just because they haven't said anything on record, does that mean that they haven't had a hand in the violence within these riots? Not even close. They just haven't said that they are, that they have. Pardon me. All right.
Switches off the internet. The measure is essentially near total. We track around 1 to 3% baseline connectivity. It's understood that this may be used by the regime itself to either monitor the situation or publish information that it wants to send out to the rest of the world.
So 1 to 3 people in Iran apparently have actual connectivity to the internet. That's significant.
World. Beyond this, there's very little connectivity for ordinary citizens. There are a few options. People can connect through the borders. They can connect to international Wi-Fi networks if they're close enough to the border, or they can connect to across the border again to GSM networks, mobile phone networks. But that's only those who have that reach. There is also the possibility of satellite internet, for example, using Starlink, and we know that Starlink has been activated. The challenge is that Starlink needs custom terminals, and these terminals are considered contraband by the Iranian authorities. so they're not readily available. That said, we do know that many people do have them, and it only takes a few authentic sources of information to make sure that the world knows what's happening.
That was global news, okay? Now let's go to Denmark here. This is from BRICS News, just in. When was this? The 7th, so a couple days ago. Denmark warns it will shoot first and ask questions later if the United States invades Greenland, right? So, of course, you got Trump running his mouth, doesn't know where to close it, and is gonna be he's gonna be on the wrong side of history. He's gonna be on the losing side of history, whether he likes it or not, right? Babylon the Great is gonna be destroyed, whether they like it or not. Let's check this out here from Marco Rubio and some more. Again, this is the New York Post. Yet again, fair use. There's going to be no monetary compensation on my part provided from this video here. I don't own this video here. Okay? This is simply for educational purposes. Here we go.
Administration not taken Denmark's. Why is the administration not taking Denmark's offer to discuss the situation in Greenland? And
I'll be meeting with them next week.
But will you take military intervention off the table?
I'm not here to talk about Denmark or military intervention. I'll be meeting with them next week. We'll have those conversations with them then. And but I'm not having anything further to add to that. Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that has examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there. But so I just reminded them of the fact that not only did Truman want to do it, but President Trump's been talking about this since his first term. What I think the White House said yesterday is what I will tell you now, and I've always said. The president always retained the option. Every president, not this president, every president always retains the option. I'm not talking about Greenland. I'm just talking about globally. If the president identifies a threat to the national security of the United States, every president retains the option to address it through military means.
The acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like. Jackie.
Caroline, just following up on Greenland, why not rule out taking it by military force?
I know that past presidents and past leaders have often ruled things out. They've often been very open about ruling things in and basically broadcasting their foreign policy strategy to the rest of the world, not just to our allies, but most egregiously to our adversaries. That's not something this president does. All options are always on the table for President Trump as he examines what's in the best interest of the United States. But I will just say that the president's first option always has been diplomacy.
All right, you see that one? So, of course,
how much money
Trump,
are you thinking of giving?
Pause. All right. So, Trump, or the Trump administration, is not ruling out, forceful efforts to obtain Greenland. Right? Boom. Let's go here. Not only that, now I do want to pause that real quick. I have to pause that real fast. Now, let me see here. Trump will take Greenland by force. There was a X post. ABC News. Trump says U.S. will do something on Greenland.
My name is Whitney Allen.
Oh, come on, cuz. Trump says U.S. will do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Where's it at here? Oh, here it is. Yep, this is exactly what I needed. This quote here. What do we got here? I want to get as much meat off this bone here. Okay, we'll just pull this here. Now, what is this? Alexandra Hutzler from January 9, 2026. ABC News. What do we got here? Trump said if the U.S. didn't act, Russia or China would take control. Okay, we're going to read this article here. President Donald Trump on Friday continued to press the United States' control of Greenland, telling reporters, "We are going to do something on Greenland whether they like it or not. Because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor," Trump said as he hosted oil executives at the White House to discuss investments in Venezuela. The president has repeatedly said he wants to take over Greenland either by buying the autonomous island territory or by using military force, calling it a matter of national security, despite fierce pushback from Greenland, Denmark, and European allies. Greenland is not for sale. I think our Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen and our Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt has made it very, very clear. Our country belongs to the Greenlandic people. Jacob Isbosethson, Greenland's head of representation to the United States, said to journalists on Thursday after a closed-door meeting with members of Congress. When asked on Friday for how much money he believed it would take to get Greenland on board with his proposal, Trump said, "I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that." Hey, there you go. I might talk about it. I would like to make a deal, the easy way. But if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way, Trump said. So again, if they don't sell, Trump is ready to take military action, allegedly. Okay? Allegedly. So we're just going to let that rest. We're going to let that pot sizzle up. All right? Now let's see what he's talking about Mexico for.
We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the border. The border was a total mess for years. I did it the first time very quickly, and this time I did it even better because this was a bigger mess. This was a border like no other probably in the history of the world. There's never been a border like that when anybody could just walk into your country.
The border's ostensibly really closed now.
Closed. You can't come in. And nobody comes. Nobody even tries.
You see? So he's popping his stuff, man. Right? Trump is talking that talk. But of course, that's how the dragon would speak. Now let's go to the scriptures here. Finally, we can get into some scriptures. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Now, what are those 10 horns? That's talking about, initially, you have, West Germany, Denmark, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, you got Italy, I believe France, Ireland, Great Britain. I'm trying to remember. There are a couple more. Pardon me for not remembering off the top of my head. But ultimately now, the rest would be NATO and the EU. Okay, so those 10 horns are just representative of NATO and the EU. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, how is that happening right now? How is that going to play out? The United States of America has done all kinds of different things that are adverse to the relationship with NATO and the EU by way of harboring a fugitive, right? And who's that fugitive? That's Benjamin Netanyahu over there in Israel. And the way he allows Benjamin Netanyahu to run in and jump out of the United States of America without any kind of persecution, but any kind of lawful detainment, right? Now, of course, some of these NATO countries, I'm sure he's going to be able to roll through those places as well without having to deal with any flack from their police, right? Without getting arrested. Nonetheless, the United States of America is very brazen with it and made it clear that they're not going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu for his war crimes, right? Not only that, but you have Babylon the Great invading countries like Venezuela, running his mouth, popping his stuff as if he's getting prepared to invade Iran. He's getting prepared to invade Mexico. He's getting prepared to invade Greenland, take it whether they like it or not, the easy way or the hard way, right? Verse 17 in Revelation 17. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. You see that one? So the Most High is going to be obliterating Babylon the Great by the way of not only Russia and China. That's not even really necessary whenever you have NATO against you, right? But nonetheless, just a few nukes over here is really going to take care of this place. It's going to wipe it off the map. Don't let Russia get involved. All right. Where are we at here? Yep, Jeremiah 50 is what I wanted. Jeremiah 50 and 41. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel, and will not shew mercy. Their voice shall roar like the lion, Slakia, shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle, against thee, O daughter of Babylon. You see that one? The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs of a woman in travail. The Heavenly Father is getting prepared to humble Esau Edom and bring them very, very low down to the ground and destroy them. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 20. Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw an angel come from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And who is that angel? Yahushua Mashiach. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. That's talking about Esau Edom, around 475, I believe, AD, during the fall of the ancient Roman Empire, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. Now people might see that little season and say, well, it's been 400 or 500 years. Well, understand this: a little season, a 400 to 500 year reign, is half the 1,000-year reign in which Yahushua is going to have over the earth, in which these heathens are going to be completely in subjection and slaves on the earth, right? Not only that, but the children of Israel, matter of fact, let me get this here. Even forever and ever. Let me see if I can find that. Nope. Even forever. I'm going to go right back to it afterwards. Come on, that's Daniel 2. 2 and like 30. Let me see here. No. Okay. Yep. Beautiful. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. You see that one? So 400 to 500 years is very minute compared to forever. You see that one? Nonetheless, let's skip down to verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And right now, we're in the midst of that little season, right? Let's go to verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. That's talking about the nuclear destruction that's going to occur on these Edomites here in Babylon the Great, as well as these other nations, of course. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. That lake of fire is going to be here in Babylon the Great, in which all these nations are going to be brought over. Slakia, all these heathens are going to be found here to be completely destroyed and engulfed in the flames of the lake of fire. Now let's go to Isaiah 14. I want to get 12 in the MEV. Here we go. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also on the mount of the congregation, in the recesses of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Those who see you shall stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth to tremble and shook kingdoms, who made the world as a wilderness and destroyed its cities, who did not open the house of the prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, each one in his own tomb. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and clothed with those who are slain, thrust through with a sword, who go down to the stones of the pit. What do we got here? Salaki, I lost it. As a corpse trodden underfoot. Let me read that again. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and clothed with those who are slain, thrust through with a sword, who go down to the stones of the pit, as a corpse trodden underfoot. You shall not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. So these Edomites, these top banking families, these elites, they're going to be completely annihilated here in Babylon the Great. If they make it, they're going to be slaves in the kingdom of heaven. That's their destiny. Let's go to Obadiah chapter 1. I think that was the NLT that I wanted. Yep. One and 10 in the NLT. Here we go. This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and 10. Because of the violence you did to your close relatives in Israel, you will be filled with shame and destroyed forever. When they were invaded, you stood aloof, refusing to help them. Foreign invaders carried off their wealth and cast lots to divide up Jerusalem, but you acted like one of Israel's enemies. You should not have gloated when they exiled your relatives to distant lands. You should not have rejoiced when the people of Judah suffered such misfortune. You should not have spoken arrogantly in that terrible time of trouble. You should not have plundered the land of Israel when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have gloated over their destruction when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have seized their wealth when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have stood at the crossroads killing those who tried to escape. You should not have captured the survivors and handed them over in their terrible time of trouble. That's what you shouldn't have done. Nonetheless, the day is near when I, Yahweh, will judge all godless nations as you have done to Israel. So it will be done to you. All your evil deeds will fall back on your own heads. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Kwakadash. Again, I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders that came before me, that brought me into this truth. Lord willing, this was edifying. To the hopeful elect out there that's putting in this work, continue to put in this work. Again, Shalom.